Now, here's the hosts of Top Story, Kelly Klass and Jill Steen.
And good morning, and welcome to Top Story. 7360300 is always the number to call. Welcome back, Jill.
Thank you, Kelly. Same to you. It's hump day.
Oh, I know. It's the middle of the week already. Where did the Monday and Tuesday go?
I have no idea, but we just had our business networking group, our Magic Valley Leads group. It was in the paper yesterday for businesses who were interested in becoming a member. So we had 6 new members. It was a great meeting, and if there's businesses out there that want to be in a networking group, we meet the first Wednesday of the month. It's $50 a year, and we have breakfast and referrals. It's been going on 10 years. I started it 10 years ago.
What do you have for breakfast, like tofu and stuff like that?
No, I used to do healthy stuff, and then people, whatever. So we have orange juice, we have yogurt with granola, we have, I have to do cinnamon rolls for Dan Olmstead from Idaho Power, because Dan Olmstead, he was actually one of my first members. In 10 years we've been doing this group. It's a great group.
Cool.
And, I'm really proud of it, and so anyone who has a business and wants to network, because we can all do cold calls, but it's easier to do a warm call, don't you think?
That's the truth. That is the truth.
Look up the article yesterday. It was in Business Briefs. And I have to say today, food section, Ed Glazer reviewed my lasagna. Huge article.
There's no limit to your popularity.
Anyway,
I'm amazed.
Try my lasagna. Ed had a
whole page.
I couldn't believe it. I mean, I saw it online. There was one photo, and then we got the paper. I was like, wow, awesome. So anyway, thank you, Ed Glazer from the Times News. Although it was funny because he goes, Joe, I had a little trouble with you blend up some tofu and it looks like ricotta, whatever. But he had trouble breaking up it was a big block of tofu and you have to put it into a food processor. So normally people crumble it up, but I don't think he had trouble with that.
Oh, you might have to give him some
lessons. I don't know.
Well, cool. Anyway,
thank you. So today's been a good day for stuff. So look it up and try lasagna. Call me and let me know.
Yeah. And coming up this morning on Top Story, we'll be talking about the mustard. See what? Okay.
Wellness Tree.
There you
used to be the Mustard Seed Clinic, but it's the Wellness Tree Clinic.
And they are the beneficiaries of Bras Across the Canyon on Saturday. All the donations for that will go to this. We'll find out what that is coming up here shortly on Top Story.
That's right.
Also at 9 o'clock, we have the State of the City. Today it'll be Twin Falls City Council person Rebecca Mills-Soika.
That's right.
So, and those are our 2 guests for today, and there's a lot of stuff to talk about today. First of all, probably the most important news of the day, it is now legal to have studs on your tires.
Oh, wow.
And I'm talking the little metal studs in the tires.
I actually need new tires.
Not hunky men, so there you go.
Yeah, nothing's better than driving around with hunky men hanging onto your tires. That's exactly what I thought, Kelly.
Well, good.
Because I'm just a little woman, and I don't understand these tire stud things. Oh, you don't meet great-looking guys hanging on to tires? What's the matter with you?
Okay, so now...
First day, tire studs.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, coming up, the FCC is considering making it illegal for broadcasters to say the word of the Washington football team, Redskins.
A lot of people
They're thinking about making that one of the taboo words.
Well, a lot of people actually aren't using it anymore. The sportscasters and stuff aren't using it anymore.
Well, that's fine. But
we'll talk about it.
So if we're going to do that, then there's a whole list of teams that should offend someone that we're going to go over. Okay?
Yeah, okay.
So that's coming up toward the end of the show after State of the City. Be sure to be listening.
Oh, yeah. Tune in for that one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
So
It'll be
much
informative.
Fun.
And you might be able to be offended and not even know it.
Oh, good.
I mean, life doesn't get any better than having something come up. Hey, I can be offended by that.
Pinch me. Okay.
So, be listening. Seriously, a patient being treated at first of all, Ebola is now officially in the United States. Now, what do we do?
Well, we did have those doctors transferred, so we did have a couple Ebola cases, but now we have someone visited from Liberia.
He's at a Dallas hospital, has tested positive for Ebola, the first case of the disease to be diagnosed in the United States. Officials at Texas Health Presbyterian Hospital say the unidentified patient is being kept in isolation and that the hospital is following Centers for Disease Control recommendations to keep doctors, staff, and patients safe. The hospital had announced a day earlier that the patient's symptoms and recent travel indicated a case of Ebola, the virus that killed more than 3,000 people across West Africa and infected a handful of Americans who traveled to that region. The CDC the CDC has said that 12 people in the U.S. have been tested for Ebola since July 27th. Those tests came back negative.
And they actually took this man's temperature before he got onto the flight, and he had no symptoms. But he was from Liberia, and he was visiting family in Dallas. And then the symptoms started. So now his family in Dallas.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Why are we even, honestly, until you get this under control, I would seriously stop flights from those countries. Right now.
I don't know why they haven't. I really don't. Unless it's the money thing. Well, we can't do that. Look at all the money we'll lose. I don't know.
I don't know, but I mean, he had to have known, because they say you can only get it if you're in contact with someone who has symptoms. He had to have known if he was in contact with someone who had symptoms. Why do you then fly on a plane and come to the U.S.?
Because you can't get sick until the person you get it from already is showing symptoms.
I know, so he had to have known.
You would think, but unless they thought, well, they just have a cold or something, they have the sniffles. I don't know.
You're in Liberia and you start having the sniffles and you have a fever. I think your thoughts would go immediately to Ebola.
I'm with you, though. Any flights coming in or out of those countries, stop them right now.
Well, until they get a handle on this. Right. And I know the Gates Foundation, I think they just donated, was it $35 million, something like that, to stop Ebola? I mean, part of it is, they don't bury their dead properly. They don't have the facilities out there to stop this. Well,
they don't even have the facilities to treat. They don't even have enough beds. There are sick people laying in the streets.
I know.
And which makes you wonder, with that kind of a disease here in the United States where we have those facilities, it makes you wonder if it is that serious. I understand that it's serious. Meaning like it's... But is it like panic type serious? I mean, we have a lot of diseases that are pretty darn bad. I mean, we have West Nile virus that's now being spread by mosquitoes.
Right, but you have drugs to counteract it. The thing with Ebola is they don't have anything to counteract it. It's basically fluids, and you have luck if you survive.
They did have those, what did they do? Take the blood of those who were infected by it and kind of using that here a while back, which seemed to be somewhat effective.
Well, yeah, but how many people can donate? You got 2 people in the U.S. that survived.
Yeah,
There's only so much blood they have.
I know, but maybe this gives them something to work on now. Maybe they can think, aha, now that we know this, now we can do this. You could
develop a vaccine, but the thing of it is like, until you get to that point, how many flights... this guy, if he did start developing symptoms on that plane, what if he sneezed? What if he...
Oh, I know.
Do you know what I mean?
And planes are the worst place in the world to get sick. Almost every time, which is very rare. On rare occasions that I travel in an airplane, I usually come down with a cold right after.
It's bad, but, they took his time. I know. I flew into Tokyo and Hong Kong. They if there was an outbreak, they start taking people's temperatures. They have infrared to see if you're sick. Although he wasn't sick at the time, but now I'm sure his family in Dallas is probably freaking out.
I wouldn't be surprised.
And
everybody associated with the family.
Well, yeah. Anyone he came in contact to, if he's sneezing or, I don't know. What do you guys think? Should we block flights from these countries until you at least get it under control?
I don't think we have any choice. And I don't understand why we haven't already. I don't know if it's a politically correct thing. I don't know if it's a monetary thing. But you would think that, until we can get this figured out, there's going to be no more people from there coming into here.
I thought they had. Did they close
them? Seemed like
was it
they
Sierra
did
Leone
for a short period of
time?
But then they started them up again. 7360300, top story. You're on the air.
Good morning.
Good morning. Since you shut off open line Friday, you leave me no choice but to call today.
Well, we didn't shut it off. We just sometimes don't have time for it.
Yeah, sorry.
Well, anyway, I've got a complaint on your website.
Yeah.
You can't enter any of the contests now unless you belong to Twitter or Facebook.
Is that true?
And I do not belong to either one of those, and I don't intend on to. Anyway, the bottom line is, I wonder how many people can enter the contest now.
Are you a loyal listener? I mean, if you can.
Yes, I'm a loyal listener.
You know what? I've not been aware of that. I will check into that, though, because I don't think that should be. So,
No.
So it's requiring you to belong to either Twitter or Facebook before you can enter the content.
I looked over and read the fine print and everything to make sure that I knew what I was talking about, or halfway anyway.
Okay, well, you know more than I do.
We'll check into it, because I agree with you. If you're a loyal listener, you should be able to enter any contest without having to do that, don't you think?
Well, I would think, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? Sometimes corporate has their ideas. So
We're the last
to
know, too.
Yeah.
Sorry. Thanks for letting us know. We'll check into it, though.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh, and speaking of that, we're going to be pulling a winner out of the hat right after Huckabee this morning for the winner of the lunch with Kelly and Jill at the Canyon Crest Dining and Event Center.
I wonder if that's what he was entering.
So, I don't know. Could have been. But anyway, that'll be coming up. So if you entered that for September, then
Listen up.
Listen up.
Yeah.
You could be the one. You could be the one. We want to talk about, coming up here shortly, they're talking about making a ruling, and I know some sports already have this ruling, but there's concern among the soccer fans in some parts of the state that think racking up 15 points against the opponent is humiliating and offensive.
Anyway,
so
we'll talk about that.
We're going to be talking about that. Boy, it seems like today is offensive day or something, you know?
And then there's Larry Craig. We have to talk about that.
What did he do?
Finally, Larry Craig was ordered to pay the nearly $242,000
He was.
to the U.S. Treasury for improperly using campaign funds to cover legal expenses after his arrest in a 2007 airport bathroom sting. So, U.S. Judge Amy Berman Jackson ruled Tuesday that Craig illegally converted campaign money for personal expenses while attempting to withdraw his guilty plea to one count of disorderly conduct. And it was not part of his duties, even though Larry Craig said it was part of his duties, because he was going from Washington to Idaho and had to stop in Minneapolis when he had this problem. I'm sorry. Soliciting sex in a bathroom is not part of your duties. This man should have paid this a long time ago. It would have been out of the news. And guess what? Stephen Yates just appointed him the chief financial officer for the Idaho GOP. Really? When you think that campaign donors' money should be paid for your legal expenses, you're now the financial guy for the Idaho GOP. You would think Steve Yates would have someone better in mind.
That does seem like an interesting choice.
You think?
It does.
And it was probably because they knew each other back in Washington. Larry was there 30 years.
Coming up, we're going to be talking about how many points against the other team until it becomes humiliating and offensive. Right here on Top Story. 7360300, the number to call. 7360300 is the number to call here this morning on Top Story. Hello from Canyon Pond, says Dave Hansen and the crew. Come on by and say hi.
Hi, Dave.
Hi, Dave.
Kelly and I have to come by. We keep saying that.
I know. I'm going to do that, too. Woodworking stuff. They got fishing poles. They got tools. They got camping stuff. You know, to sit here and list the stuff that they have in Canyon Pond, it would take all day long.
All day.
The best way to do it is just to stop by and see what they got. They've got guns. They've got guns, lots of guns, and everything else that you would expect to find in a pawn shop. So stop by. They're on Shoshone Street, right across from Will's Toyota, and you can't miss it. Have fun. It's always fun to go in a pawn shop.
I've never gone, so we got to go, Kelly. Let's make a date.
I
Let's
know.
just
Okay.
enough of this. Let's make a date and go.
All right, we'll do it. Okay, here's the deal. Rocky Mountain High girls, this is from the Idaho Statesman. Rocky Mountain High girls soccer coach Donald Kaler described it as awful. His team throttled Nampa 15-0 on September 8th.
And this isn't softball.
No.
Yeah.
It's not softball. I think softball has a rule, and they've had it for a long time. If you're, 10 points ahead or something like
10
that,
runs
by
ahead.
the sixth inning, they call the game.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, he sees no reason to celebrate because his team whipped Nampa 15-0. He said he pulled all the levers he could to keep the score down, but the goals kept pouring in. The lopsided result is just one of a bounty in high school soccer through the Treasure Valley. Last Wednesday alone, the Eagles girls beat Valley View 11-1. Boise girls routed Nampa 8-0, and Kaler's Grizzlies topped Bora 8-0. The blowouts add momentum to a proposed idea among 5A and 4A coaches in Southern Idaho Conference, a mercy rule.
Yeah.
We've had some pretty lopsided games in the SIC this year, both boys and girls. Centennial Athletic Director John Watson says, "You always try to side with what's in the best interest of the kids. You don't want anyone to be humiliated. If soccer games are getting to be 15-0, something needs to kick into play. In about every other sport, you have some sort of mercy rule or running clock."
It's true.
The evidence, all based on results before Monday's games, 19 of the 106 girls' games between 5A and 4A opponents in the SIC were decided by 7 or more goals. 7 were decided by 10 or more goals. 9 of the 107 boys' games finished in 7-goal margins or higher. 2 boys' games finished in 10-goal margins or higher. A lot of states already use the mercy rule in one form or the other. The National Federation of State High School Associations has no set mercy rule for soccer, instead leaving it up to individual states to apply one. The details vary from state to state, but Nebraska, Colorado, Missouri, and Kentucky agree on one aspect. Referees call the game with a 10-goal margin after halftime. Wisconsin and South Dakota also have a 10-goal rule after 60 minutes. So the bottom line here is they're just trying to keep the kids from getting slaughtered on the field and then have the thing go clear to the end of the game when they can rack up so many points, and the poor little kids on the losing end won't all get trophies.
But you know what? It's not fun for the winning team either, because you feel badly. You realize, I mean, obviously this coach is saying we're trying to do anything, and actually a lot of football coaches that are classy football coaches, when it gets to the points where it's really high, it could be 56-0. They have their third string in, and they try not to score anymore. And even when you have a few seconds left and maybe you have 3 yards to go, you could score to rack it up. They won't. They'll take a knee. You know, it's not fun for the winning players either to just demolish these kids. And I don't think it's the worst idea in the world. I say, why not? 10 goals is pretty good. So
actually,
why
there
not?
was a mention in here that soccer, apparently you can only have so many people on the team, so that doesn't give the soccer coach very much depth to pull from.
Yeah.
So to go back into the third and fourth strings, they might not have enough players to do that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. You know,
why? You think that's okay?
We're always saying that sports and stuff teaches you to win and to lose and how to be prepared for life ahead.
Actually,
you know,
that's not what they say.
What do they say? Oh, really?
Sportsmanship. It teaches you how
That's
to work
all part
as a
of
team, and sportsmanship. And actually, when you're running up the score against a poor little team, that's not good sportsmanship. And the classy coaches don't. I say they should do it. What do you guys think?
A mercy rule. Should we adopt a mercy rule? Or should we teach kids that sometimes life is that way? Sometimes it's very disappointing. Sometimes you get slaughtered. That's a good opportunity to pick yourself up and take yourself out there and do a better job.
So you don't want to play anymore.
You would feel so much better if you did that and went out there and finally you were victorious over that team, rather than just sitting back and saying, well, don't worry, they can only get 10 points ahead of us, and then it'll all be over.
The ones like demolishing, it was like our NBA, you know, our professionals in the Olympics, you know, they're playing Ghana. I mean, my gosh, you know, it was like 126 to 40. You know, it's not fun. It's not fun for the winning team.
What do you think? Should we have a mercy rule? 7360300 is the number to call here on Top Story. 7360300 is the number to call here on Top Story. Welcome back. Just wanted you to know that the Low and Honey Loader is available now at Stanley and Company. Has been for a while. If you want to see one of these in operation, if you want to take a look at one, if you want to find out more about it, get a hold of Pat Hartzell. He's the go-to man, 280-1167. He can set you up so you can see one of these in operation, and you can make your decision. It's not for everybody, you know. If you just have a little 1 acre with a cow or two or a couple of steers out on a little bit of grass, you probably don't need a Low and Honey Loader. On the other hand, if you have a large feedlot operation, chances are you do. If you don't already have one, Pat can set you up. With Stanley and Company, give them a call at 280-1167. The Mercy Rule for Idaho, should we adopt? 736-0300. Top story, you're on the air.
Good morning, Kelly. Good morning, lovely Jill.
Good morning.
Listen, it's not about winning or losing. Have you ever been to a soccer game or a football game where it's just out of hand? And I mean, my boy played football for the Jerome High School, and believe you me, those people from Pocatello, when Jerome was winning, they wanted to throw blows, and so that's why parents will want to be coaches. Parents will think they're the best soccer players and stuff. And as soon as they see their kid getting humiliated, it's going to be violent. Same thing that happened in Ohio, if you read about that. It was a battle royale.
It's hard to watch, too.
It was coaches. I mean, 3 police from 3 cities had to come down to break that up. So now that you're just gonna get some people hot and they're gonna get violent. That's just what's gonna happen. So why don't we just call it whatever you want to call it, mercy or whatever, but that eliminates violence on there. Thank you.
Well, that's the point too, because parents can get pretty ugly.
Oh, I know that, and that's, I guess that's the fault of the rule, because the kids can just rack up as many points as they can. So it's not because the parents are stupid and uncivilized. No, it's because of the rule that we don't have. Well, it's because we don't have a mercy rule to put a limit on the number of points. I get it. Okay, whatever.
Well, parents get crazy anyway, which is and in many sports. But when you start seeing that, that's bad.
736-0300. Let's see. I'll try this one here. Top story. You were on the air. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. I'm for a mercy rule, but I'm not for when the teams they agree not to keep score, so you don't know who wins.
Right, I agree with you.
You know who keeps score in those games, don't you?
The parents.
No,
the parents
then
do.
the kids. The kids know what the score is, and the parents know what the score is. You just can't put it up on a scoreboard anywhere.
Right.
Well, what age do they do that up until? I mean, is there a certain age? Do they just do it for little ones?
I live in the Boise area, and I haven't heard of anything or any teams that don't do that. But my sister lives in Portland, and they do it. And generally, it's the younger teams, like the clubs that put on like there was the Optimus team or the Kiwanis, that sort of thing. But schools also, a lot of the elementary schools do that till like middle school, that sort of thing. So
you think a mercy rule might be a good idea, though?
I think so.
All right.
But
well,
to keep score.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's try another one here. Top story. You're on the air. What do you think about a mercy rule?
Well, I don't know. I don't think it's realistic because life, there is not a lot of mercy. I want to think that sometimes you're just going to lose. And, I played on plenty of teams when I was growing up that weren't very good. And, there was no mercy rule for us when I was a kid. And I think there's a lot of valuable lessons in sometimes just getting beaten down that you can't learn if someone just is going to say, well, all right, you guys are losing so bad that we're just going to take pity on you, and that's I don't think it's right.
But if there is a mercy rule,
then you don't get to that point.
If there is a mercy rule, then it teaches the kids that don't worry, there's somebody there to help you if life gets a little rough. The government will be there to help you. All right, don't worry about it. We've got you covered. So we got to have this mercy rule to indoctrinate them to know that eventually, when they run into trouble, the government will be there to pick them up.
Yeah, let them learn humiliation and total whatever at
maybe
young
it would
ages.
Be better when you say sometimes
10 runs
the other
is not
team,
humiliating
the
enough.
The other team does take a knee. That's teaching sportsmanship. If you have that rule, they're not going to do that. They're going to wait until it hits the line. Okay, well we got 10 points
over them,
so now we can't do anything.
10 runs is not humiliating. It teaches them better
sportsmanship if you let the kids make that decision than if you pass some stupid rule.
10 runs is humiliating
Top
enough.
story. We got about 10 seconds.
It's a hard one to call because it depends on the child. My son was on a baseball team, and they were getting creamed. And after about 4 times of that, they all got together and decided they weren't going to do that. They turned it around by the end of the season. They were the second best team. And it gave my son, it taught him that if he wants to be somewhere, he has to work hard to get there.
You got it.
So it
There
depends
you
on
go.
how the child accepts it, and I think the support they get.
But 10 runs is humiliating anyway. I mean, how many? So if
I
it's
know.
15 or 20
Poor
runs,
little
they don't
snowflakes.
learn that?
Poor little snowflakes.
You've never even played on a team.
I
Come on,
most
Kelly.
certainly
What'd you
have.
play on?
I played on baseball when I was a kid.
Yes.
And we were one of the ones that got slaughtered.
Yeah.
You know what? It made us want to get better. We'll be
that
right
right?
back. 7360300 is the number to call here this morning on Top Story. Welcome back. You've heard us talking about coming up this weekend is Bras Across the Canyon. And this is an event to bring awareness to Breast Cancer Awareness Month, of course, which is October. And we have with us this morning Arnie Walker, who is the Executive Director of the Wellness Tree Community Clinic. And we also have Beverly Witherspoon, who is a breast cancer survivor. And I want to welcome both of you to the show this morning.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning, and thank you very much for having us.
Now, the donations from Bras Across the Canyon event this Saturday will go 100% to the Wellness Tree Community Clinic.
That's correct.
That is a local charity. That is one of the perfect examples of local charity staying home, helping local people. So tell us about this wellness clinic. How does it work, and where is it and such?
The Wellness Tree Community Clinic is located in what used to be the emergency room of the old Magic Valley Hospital. So the big brick building right off Addison, we're on the back side. And how it works is we're there for people that have low income and are also uninsured or underinsured. So we're not there to steal medical patients from other doctors. We're there to help people that can't find help elsewhere. And the dynamic with when we're, like, say, unemployed, our income is at a low point, we don't have health insurance, those people don't go see a doctor when they get sick because it's just so expensive. Medical care is so expensive these days.
It is. And you have a lot of volunteers that work there. Like a lot of doctors and nurses volunteer their time. Is that right?
Yeah. We have 3 paid employees, and the rest of our providers are all volunteers.
Which is amazing.
So it's definitely a community clinic. We couldn't operate without the community giving back through the Wellness Tree.
I wouldn't be surprised if there were a lot of people who could use your services that don't even know you're there.
I hear that all the time.
And what are the hours and days? Because I know you're closed on some days.
Yeah, we're closed Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yep.
So Monday through Thursday, we're open 9 to 4 for daytime appointments, as long as we have a medical provider or physician there. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we do evening clinics, and those are walk-in clinics. So during the day, we schedule appointments by certain times with certain doctors. A patient will know who they're going to see. Tuesdays and Thursday evenings is a walk-in, so it's kind of first come, first serve.
And what are the hours there, Arnie?
Oh, so the hours there, we start, we put out a ticket number machine at 4 o'clock. People can pull a number. We start seeing patients at 5:30, and we end when we end.
There's
Sometimes
such
it
a
goes
huge
to 8
need
or
in
9
this community, isn't it? Such a huge need.
It's a huge need, and there's so many people that don't get care because they don't have the funds and they don't have the insurance. And so we're there to help them stay well, to get better, and not to let the issue become so problematic and grow to the point where they end up in the emergency room.
Right.
So do you do a lot of breast cancer screening and help there to women in the area who are underinsured or have no insurance?
We do. We don't actually do the like any surgeries or things like that for breast surgery. We have a lot of patients come in with concerns, and so we will do evaluations, and we will get them connected to the medical care that they need. We'll help them navigate the paperwork and the local resources with the county or state or federal government resources to get the care, surgeries, and treatment that they need to stay well. It's so complicated to know how to navigate the system. We're there for our patients.
So Beverly, you are a breast cancer survivor.
Yes, 13 years. Isn't that amazing?
Wow, it is.
It is amazing. And how did you first find your trouble?
Well, it was on May the 19th, and I was doing a breast exam, and I found a small lump on my breast, and I'm thinking, what's going on here? And the tears started to come and fear started to set in. So I called my dear friend in Kansas, and she said, you call a doctor tomorrow, because that would be Monday, and don't take no for an answer. So that's what I did. And I was referred to my surgeon doctor, whom I desperately love, who saved my life, for which I'm very grateful for, and that I'm here to talk about that. And so from there, I went on and I was very well taken care of. And I'm just so thankful that I'm here today to be able to talk about this. And my point here is, thank goodness I was checking my breast, because so many women just, oh, I'm not going to be bothered by that. I'm just going to let that go. But my encouragement to them is just do it. And my little saying for the just do it part has to do with a true story. And it has to do with a race. It was a 10K race and a marathon race going on. And the lady is doing the 10K and comes up alongside a gentleman. And she says, am I on the right path for the 10K? And he says, oh, no, you're doing the marathon. And she says, well, I've never trained for that. He said, just stay with me. So when they came across the finish line, she looked at the back of his shirt. It said, just do it. And that's what she did. And that's what I want to encourage the women to check their breasts on a monthly basis.
So what do you say to women? Because a lot of people have fibrous breasts. So you might find, you can alarm yourself all the time. You can find a lump here, a lump there. You know, people have fibrocystic disease. So what do you say to women who can scare themselves all the time?
I'm just saying, just do the right thing. Check with your doctor. Let him be the one to make that decision.
So did your mammogram then? Did you have a mammogram? Did that show it, or were you getting regular mammograms?
I was getting regular mammograms. It did not show it, and so I was so grateful that my self-exam brought that forth, and I could take care of it and do something about it. And reaching out to have other people, I didn't know anyone where we were living, and so but I had people that I didn't know that said, Beverly, I'll take you here. Beverly, I'll help you. Just let me know when you need me. And I was so grateful. And from time to time, I see those people, and I still go up, and I still thank them for their care and their love.
That's nice.
To want to help.
Well, breast cancer used to be pretty much a death sentence, but it's not that anymore. They have huge success rates in that. Was it 94% or something like that if it's caught in time?
Yes. It definitely... You want to catch it. You want to be there
the earlier,
for
the
yourself.
Better.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I just want to be here today to tell women to please don't be afraid to self-exam, because a lot of ladies are afraid to do anything because they don't want to hear the news, but do hear the news, because then you can see that yourself is taken care of. And that's just so important. And I'm so grateful.
So did you do chemotherapy and radiation, or did you catch it in time where they could just do a lumpectomy or something? Well, you don't have to. You don't have to. If you don't want to share, that's fine.
I did have major surgery, and so I did have to have 4 treatments of chemo, lost my hair, and wore a wig. And I never asked myself why, and I never thought of dying from this. And I just tried to stay focused and just do the right things. And a lot of women want to know everything there is to know about breast cancer and about chemo. What do I do this and when? But for me, I didn't want to read that great, big, thick book that they handed me.
Yeah.
So that's how I went through my breast cancer. And I was very happy about that and comforted with what I wanted to do with all the help from other people encouraging me. And I will say that after my surgeries and things of that nature, I did go to the support group, and that was headed up by Mary Howard, who is an exquisite lady who has helped so many people whom I love very dearly. And so I would encourage ladies that when they're going through this to go to that support group. I know that it's changed now. I believe they meet at the oncology chemo area at the hospital. I think it's on 4 o'clock on a Monday. And I just would encourage ladies to go there, because it's just so important to get that feedback and that support from everyone else. And I always like to think about, I don't know if anybody's watched Mrs. Doubtfire, but I love that movie. And if you recollect, help is on the way. So I like to think about that. When we reach out, we know that help is on the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Arnie Walker, again, the executive director of the Wellness Tree Community Clinic. About how many patients do you see in a week? Have you
it
numerized that? Or?
Some weeks we'll see about 40, 50 patients, somewhere in there. It depends on the weather. It depends on the time of the year. And It varies. If it's really nice weather, fewer patients, show up, but we're there to treat people when they need help. So, I don't mind if we have a little bit lower numbers. We're not there just to brag about numbers. We're there to change lives and
to help people.
So, what kind of treatments can you do there? I know there are some things that you wouldn't be able to do, like you mentioned about the breast cancer surgeries or anything like that. What can you do there?
So when our patients come in, they can meet with a doctor. They can get prescriptions. They can get prescriptions for their eyeglasses. Counseling. Our surgery center, we do small procedures, mole removal, cysts, small things like that. We send our patients out for labs and blood work, X-rays, and we will cover those expenses if we need to. And
you
and
do
we
shots,
do that all the
things
time.
like that, don't you?
We do shots. We have some medications, basic medications. If a patient comes in, we had one come in about 2 weeks ago with a blood sugar level over 500. The meter couldn't even read how high it was, and the doctor told her, said, you're going to be in the ER tonight if we don't get this under control. And she said, well, I just haven't had the money to buy my diabetic supplies.
Sad.
And so we got her blood sugar level down there in the clinic, and then we sent her away with a goodie bag of all the supplies she needed to keep herself healthy for the next month until she could come back.
Do you have to qualify people for income or anything like that?
So we do ask the question. We say, what is your income level? And we're not there to help, well-off people just become more well-off. We're there to help the needy people. We don't do thorough background checks,
They have to show W-2s or
no, we don't have
tax returns or anything?
You don't have to do
Okay.
that. It's sometimes some patients come in, and if they need treatment that's beyond the care that we can provide, we can plug them in and through the county, and we'll help them do paperwork and get medical care, surgeries and treatment and things that they need. When we pass them off to other government agencies like that, then often they will do those thorough background checks on their income and things.
So part of the money from the Bras Across the Canyon is going to help these people who can't afford mammograms and things like that, right?
It's going to help the patients that come in.
Yeah.
And we're very appreciative of your support and the support of the community. We couldn't do this without the community.
And you're new. You just become their new executive director, so you haven't seen this event before.
So I've been the executive director for about 4 months. I previously, in my past life, I managed a pharmaceutical business with a clinic that was somewhat similar, different but similar. It was a for-profit organization, so I really enjoyed being at the Wellness Tree Clinic. And part of my background, I'm a cancer survivor as well. So I had a cancerous brain tumor removed in March of 2000. So I can't speak exactly what it's like to go through breast cancer treatment, but I know what going through cancer treatment is like, and it was a very difficult year of my life going through cancer treatment, and for my wife as well. She's a trooper, and so I'm glad to be cancer free, and I love being able to help other people go through that process.
So I think Beverly, have you been to Bras Across the Canyon before? Because it'll be kind of exciting to see all these bras across the canyon.
But there was a time several years ago where you were to decorate bras. And then I'm not sure, but I think it was at the fair that they auctioned those bras off. And I did bring a picture so I could show Arnie a picture of the bra that I put together.
Well, you'll have to bring it because they're going to decorate bras for Saturday as well.
Yeah, that's right.
And string them across the canyon. So was it 11 to 2, Cal? 11 to 3?
It's noon it's noon until it'll probably end up about 3 after everybody's gone across the bridge and then come back. And it's really kind of a fun event because everybody's showing off their decorated bras, they're waving them, and they got signs, and it's just a good event. So
for more
see you guys there.
Yeah, for more information about the Wellness Tree Community Clinic, do you want to give out a number real quick, Arnie?
You can go to our website, which is www.wellnesstreeclinic.org. And if you would like to support this event but can't be there on Saturday, you can go there and hit the Donate Now button and donate whatever amount of money that you would like. You can call there and call our number at 734-2610 and get more information. we have volunteers that serve in many different capacities, and some people bring in food for our doctors and for the evening clinics, and
that's cool.
and so that's really helpful. We have a number of different types of volunteers. So if you'd like to volunteer, we'd love to talk to you as well.
Very
Great.
good.
Thank
well,
you so much.
want to thank Arnie Walker and Beverly Witherspoon for talking to us about the Wellness Tree Community Clinic and Bras Across the Canyon coming up this Saturday. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
so much.
Yeah,
Well, good morning and welcome back to Top Story, the third half here until 10 o'clock, and welcome back, Jill.
Thank you, Kelly. Same to you.
And it's not raining this morning. In fact, I think it's actually pretty chilly. It's like 43 right now.
Ooh.
That's the coldest it's been in a long time.
Wow.
I had to actually I wore a jacket yesterday, and it was kind of marginal, but I was glad I wore a jacket this morning.
Yeah, I'm
it
always
felt
glad
pretty
I have
good.
a jacket with me at all times.
Yes, I know.
That's all I can say.
You go to bed wearing a jacket, so,
That's not true, but you always have to be prepared.
You do. You do. Coming up a little bit later in the show, we're going to be talking about some offensive team names that we should all be offended by so that we can force change. And you would be surprised at the names that we can really be offended by.
That's
We'll be talking about that coming up here on Top Story. Right now, we have State of the City. We have Twin Falls City Council person Rebecca Mills-Soika. Good morning.
Good morning, Rebecca. Welcome back.
Good morning, Kelly and Jill. Thank you for having me.
I'm sorry you don't have your theme song. I'm
yeah,
not mentioning why.
I'm so sad about that, Kelly.
I know. I am sorry.
It's Kelly's.
Maybe next time, Kelly.
It's the system. That's all I can say.
It's called Kelly.
Yeah.
Is the system.
He's going to have to go get another one for me. Can you go get another one for me?
I'll probably have to.
Okay.
I probably will.
Okay.
So, at any rate, as we get into the conversation, there's a planning and zoning work session coming up that you wanted to tell folks.
Yes. So this is great. The first Wednesday of every month is a meeting for planning and zoning to discuss proposed code changes. It's really important for the city council right now for us to update the city code because sections of it are 20 or more years old, and we need to look and see if they're still relevant and look and see if they're still the best practices. Which, I mean, in 20 years, we have new best practices, and there are things to update.
Anyway,
we would hope. Hey, some things are tried and true, Kelly. But
it's been like since what, 96? They've had any changes?
It depends on the section of code, but yeah, really quite some time for most of it. So this is a great public meeting where citizens can come and be involved, and they can look at, we print agendas, people can look at the section of code that they're looking at today. They're going to be talking about increasing the notification process. The state code has, 300 feet, which isn't really far. When you're talking about some use, some uses are fine, maybe a special use permit for a daycare or something like that. Maybe 300 feet is sufficient, but recently this came up because we had a request for, I think it was like 60 acres or something like that, between 40 and 60 acres that really was going from, or proposed to be going from ag to light manufacturing commercial, which is a huge change. And 300 feet from the boundary of that property notified like one neighbor, maybe one or two people, when really an entire neighborhood would be impacted. And
was this the one on Kimberly and 3300?
It was. Yeah.
And that entire neighborhood, it was a horseshoe, 2 developments. No one else was notified.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Correct. Yeah, so it caused us to look at our standards, and we're not the first city to do that. Jerome actually has updated its notification standards, and based on the use, the heavier the use, the more impact, the greater the distance of notification, and that makes sense. And we actually are looking at signage too, because right now you have this little tiny real estate sign, and it might get put back in the weeds, and the weeds might grow, kind of obscure it. And so, but when Dutch Brothers or Mr. Gas puts a giant sign that says, Mr. Gas coming soon, people take notice and they look at that. And if the objective is to notice people, we need to have signs that grab that attention and signs that will truly notify people.
Right.
So people can have input, and I've gone to a couple of those
Yes.
working, and I plan to go today too. So
Good.
you
Yeah,
know
we've
they
had
do.
several
You
members
can
of the
make
public
changes,
come.
yeah, and give your input and bring up points that they might not think about.
Yeah, and in fact, I think there's another person coming today. When people reach out to me and say, I don't like this code, I think it's not working, I direct them to that meeting and say, hey, we take public input, kind of like our council meetings. We take it at the beginning of the P&Z session so that you don't have to sit through it if you don't want to, but you can come and say, I would like you to discuss this or look at this issue. And so it's a great tool for people to be involved, and it just makes
better way to be effective than through local politics like this.
Exactly. It makes government more effective.
That's right.
And more responsive. And
absolutely.
So it's a great thing. First Wednesday of every month at noon, council chambers, and come.
Bring your lunch.
Yeah, Jill brings her lunch.
I do.
Yeah, bring your lunch, or there's always extra sandwiches, so you can have one of mine. But they feed the commission because they're volunteers, and they come during their lunch.
Oh, we have a call.
Yeah, we have a caller. Top story. You're on the air with Rebecca Mills-Soyka. Good morning.
Good morning. I had a question. It's not on what you were talking about, but I was wondering, what is the plan to repair the trail by Canyon Crest, the one that was damaged from the rain?
Oh, that's a good one.
That is a good question. Thank you. Dennis Boyer, our Parks and Rec director, actually just updated the council maybe a week or two ago on that. And we had already planned to build what they call the Pillar Falls section of trail this fall. And so we were working on that and having that engineered. So what his suggestion was is that maybe they can make a few change orders because they've already bid it out and they already have someone working on it. But it does have to be engineered, and obviously it's a giant sinkhole, and so there's a lot of work to replacing that section. So they are working on it. Their hope is to have it back fixed and functional before winter. But there's not an exact timeline because they're still kind of working out the details of getting the construction
But it'll
going.
probably be back in operation by next summer then, you're thinking?
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
Okay.
I think definitely by, and if they do have to wait, because they have to pour the hot mix, asphalt.
Right.
And so if they have to wait till spring to do that, that might be a possibility. But they're trying to get it open as soon as possible. They understand how important it is to the community.
Well, they're going to have to build that up because it was all on sand. I mean, it really didn't have much of a base, which was kind of disturbing when we looked at it. It really was just sand, like there wasn't anything underneath there to hold it up, stones or anything.
Yeah, and I have no idea what it is, but certainly that's part of what they have to fix. Exactly. You can't just put it back. You've got to fill it in with the right materials and exactly strengthen it and
we were kind of surprised when we looked at it.
It does make you kind of nervous for the rest.
It sort of did.
Like, I'm kind of walking along the edge of the canyon
on sand.
Exactly.
We have another
walking toward the inside of it now instead of the outside. Top
right.
story. You're on the air with Rebecca Mills-Soyka.
Good morning.
Good morning. I didn't quite catch the whole show. I don't get to listen very often anymore, but I heard you talking about the parks, and I wondered, are they in charge of the Harmon Park too?
Yes, the city owns the Harmon Park.
Well, I don't get off the beaten track very often, and I went by there and I hardly recognized the place. But the one thing I did recognize was still there was the old lava rock drinking fountain, and it looked like it was getting in kind of poor repair, and I wondered, are they going to keep that or are they going to get rid of it?
Okay, that's a good question. I can ask Dennis. I don't know right off.
Should we start making you a list now?
But yeah, I have a pen here. I'll just write that down.
You're going to have some homework.
Yeah.
What about the drinking fountain at Harmon Park?
Yeah, talking about memories of Harmon Park, my best memory was, remember they used to have that tank there? We used to play on that tank at Harmon Park. Yes, that was the best toy ever.
It's now out at the airport, but they had one before that one when I was a kid.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's been a tank. They finally had to move it away because of all the graffiti and everything. They were using it for kind of like a high school rock.
Okay. See, I heard it was safety. It wasn't a safe toy.
They said safety.
I thought it was great.
Yeah. Well, it was fun, but it was being damaged and all the time, so they finally moved it out. They might have used safety, but of course,
I don't know, how long ago was that for you guys?
you could go to jail for proposing something like an army tank in a park. Oh my gosh! But anyway, that's another show.
Give me strength.
But,
Wow.
but that's a good question, and it's good when citizens point out to us what needs attention and what needs,
Right.
because I mean it is a big park system, and we each frequent different areas, and so I
and you guys
appreciate
can't
that.
be everywhere.
Yeah.
So-
Well, Dennis can't be everywhere, so
Yeah,
we help
exactly.
him out. So we'll ask him about the lava rock fountain, and we'll get that back to you guys so you can post it on your.
Kind of on the same line of
webpage.
opening the walking trail, what about the intersection of Orchard and South Washington Street where the water main broke? Are they going to be able to open that up here soon?
Yes. And that's a good question. We were just John Caton, our public works director, was just talking to us about that on Monday. We were asking when that might be open. The unfortunate part of they did get the water lines back and working. They flushed it. They tested it to make sure there wasn't any contamination. The water was back up and running. But the rain then delayed the pouring of the asphalt on the road. So they said good weather pending. They will probably be able to finish it up at the end of the week.
Did
have
they
it open?
Rebecca, did they find the cause? What was the reason?
They have not found the cause. John shared with us some facts that were interesting, and he said they're not sure. There were a couple of pipes that were layered on top of each other, and on the top of that was kind of a heavy concrete manhole, and he just shared that was not the design of the intersection.
Really?
Yes, if I heard that
Somebody
right. John, if I'm
screwed up.
incorrect, call in.
Somebody screwed up.
So wait, would the contractor then be responsible if they didn't follow the design and created a problem like this?
Well, we're looking into it. So that's what he didn't want to speculate. He didn't want to.
So we can.
So
Yeah, we'll
yes.
do that. No problem,
That's your
John.
job.
We've got this covered. You just
John,
let us do the speculating
did your heart
here.
just stop?
I don't want to share misinformation here.
Which
But no,
John are we talking about?
John Caton.
Oh,
John
okay.
Caton, the,
Oh, okay.
the public
Yeah,
works
yeah,
director.
Who probably just passed out now.
But what they don't know is because the pipes were stacked on top of each other, they don't know which pipe broke first and what caused it.
Are they supposed to be stacked?
Yes, that actually is common, and they said so. Utilities and things, especially in an intersection like that.
Oh yeah, you'd have to.
There's not enough room, so they make sure that there's.
You're supposed to have something in between it.
Yeah, exactly. They make sure that there's proper, gravel or whatever bedding in between. And I'm not an engineer or a road construction person, so they are probably kind of shaking their heads. What is she talking about?
And we may never
it's-
know exactly the cause.
Well, I think they will. I think they're doing an investigation, and I think they will figure it out. But certainly, the city will take the proper action on, whatever the cause was.
Do you have any kind of a monetary estimate on what it cost to fix that little break?
I don't, but we could probably find out. I mean, they probably have a general.
They should.
Because I'm sure
it
it
was
was
probably pretty expensive.
thousands upon thousands of dollars.
Yeah, we had crews working overnight.
Yeah.
I mean, it was.
Yeah, the crew was really, they were troopers because they said someone worked like 36 hours straight, crying out loud.
Yeah, it's, man, if they had a union, that wouldn't be allowed.
Yeah, no kidding.
But what about the businesses that, like that Shell station, have lost so much money? Are they able to make a claim at all for loss of money, not due to them at all, due to this problem?
I don't know that, but I think that we'll find out. I think if there is someone to be found at fault, or an organization, or the city, I'm sure iCrimp, our insurance company, will handle that.
Can you stay for another segment?
Sure.
All right.
Sure.
Twin Falls City Council person Rebecca Mills-Soyka, our guest this morning on Top Story. 7360300 is the number to call. Welcome back. We have Twin Falls City Council person Rebecca Mills-Soyka here on State of the City. We have a few more questions, so we'll talk about those after I say this. Yesterday's $100 instant winning name is Gene Jagels.
Gene Jagels, congratulations.
And your $100 word of the day for today is square.
Square.
SQUARE, square. So go to our website, newsradio1310.com. Click on word of the day, type in square, and listen tomorrow. If you hear your name tomorrow, you played the word today, you win $100.
Rebecca's right. You've been playing the word of the day, haven't you?
I do. I play almost every day.
That's fortunate for you.
It is.
You could be a winner.
It is. I want to win.
There you go. So impact fees are going up?
They are, as of October 1st, and we went through this process, and they had a lot of public hearings and a committee that met on how to change impact fees because as the years go by, costs go up. So by the time you actually use that money, inflation has set in and items can be more expensive than the money that you collected. So it's important to update those, and we're required by state law to update them at least every 5 years. And I believe it's 5 years. It could be 10 years. But on a regular basis, you update your fees. And so we had a committee. It came through a public hearing process in, I think it was June. And then we had another public hearing in August with the budget because we have a hearing on all of the increased fees. And so we just passed a resolution on Monday to make those new fees part of the comp plan. So development impact fees are actually a part of our comprehensive plan. So it is an amendment to that plan, and we just updated it.
Is there a significant increase?
There are in certain areas. A lot of them were 5% or more, which causes the public hearing. But what's interesting is it's based on projects. So some projects were added, but some were taken away. And so, overall, I think parks and fire impact fees actually went down. And then police and streets, I think, might have went up. But it just depends on, you have your list of if you're building, X, commercial retail center, here are your fees.
Yeah.
But so who pays them? Is it developers who pay these fees?
Whoever builds, yeah.
Whoever
builds. And so, like for homeowners, it's probably included in the cost of your home.
Yeah.
So, that's passed along. But the fees are higher, obviously, for uses that have greater impact. So retail are some of the highest because it generates the most traffic. It generates the most impact on the community.
One of the things that people have mentioned interest in our town, Twin Falls, is a bike route. And I know we have a bike route in some areas we don't. But it looks like there's a bike route meeting coming up that people can maybe push this thing along or tell what they feel about it anyway.
Exactly. If anybody came to our last meeting, and it was several months ago. In fact, it might have even have been last fall or sometime in 2013. But what we did is we asked the community about the focus. A big focus in our strategic plan is connectivity. And bike routes and trails and connecting those, because like you said, it's true, we have a lot of trails here and there, but the connections aren't always obvious, and they're not always there. And so this group met to get input from the public on where they think the most important routes are and what types of signage or connections should be made. Sometimes they say that it makes sense to make lines on the road or markings on the road. Sometimes it makes sense to have a directional sign. And so what this meeting is on October 9th is we had about 75 people show up for our first meeting. So this is something that is really of interest to the public, something that people are very supportive of. And so what this meeting is city staff has taken all their input and drafted a plan of improvements to connect bike routes. And what they want is to present that to the public and say, did we hear you right? Is this what you meant? Is this a good plan? And so this would be an important meeting to come to.
When is that?
This is October 9th. That's a Thursday at 7 p.m. at Council Chambers. So I would encourage people to come and provide more feedback on the proposed improvements and the proposed plan for connectivity of bike routes in Twin.
So also you mentioned the comprehensive plan. Now I know in the budget the city has $100,000 to do the comprehensive plan. It starts October 1st. I was on that committee back in 2008. It took us months to do it, cross-section of people. Who's going to be selected on this? How could you get involved? Because I've talked to many people who said they're interested.
Oh, that's a good question. And so the process hasn't started. So when the funds are available October 1st, they'll set out.
Which is today, yeah.
Exactly. Oh, that is today, huh?
Yeah,
wow.
it is.
Oh my. Okay. So as of today, they'll start working on. They have to bid the project, and they usually find a firm that kind of heads up, an objective third party who can kind of mediate the meetings and collect the input.
Can you hold that thought?
Sure.
Okay,
sure.
we'll be right back. Twin Falls City Councilperson Rebecca Mills-Soika here on Top Story. 7360300 is the number to call. Welcome back. Just wanted to mention the Certiset from Farmore of Idaho. No more moving pipe. Wouldn't that be nice? No more spraying borders around the field. With the Certiset system, you can grow and harvest every square inch of your field. So you get no more costly labor to move the pipe. It's one of those next steps in technology. And it's called Certiset, and you can find out about it at Farmore of Idaho. You can give them a call at 324-3341. They're also online at farmoreofidaho.com. You call them up, and you tell them that Kelly and Jill told you to call and ask about Certiset. All right, so we have Twin Falls City Council person Rebecca Mills-Soika talking about how to get involved in the comprehensive planning.
Yes, so this will come up on an agenda in the near future, and so just be watching. But normally we'll do an open call to the public for people who want to be involved, and hopefully that will be the process. I mean, that's a process that I would recommend. It is up to the council how they want to choose in the mayor, if he just wants to appoint people, or if it will be more open. I think a good model for us was the wastewater treatment committee, where they just opened it up to the public. I mean, anybody who wanted to be a committee member could come and give input, and they will be public meetings. I'm pretty positive. So even if you're not an official committee member, come and give input and participate. And that's actually a great reminder of another committee that's coming up. The Parks and Rec master plan is coming up, and so they did just sign a contract with JUB, and they'll be facilitating the meetings, and that's going to start in October. And so what that will be is a committee of people who are going to talk about the future of our park system and our recreation system in Twin Falls. And basically all parks and recreation will be built according to this plan. And so really now's the time to get involved. And if this interests you, I mean, if it's kind of like the dog park. People came in and said, we really want a dog park. And so in our strategic plan, we're talking about diversifying our park system. We're talking about really focusing on a healthy community and accessible community. This will be the plan that's followed. So it's important to provide your input and your thoughts and feelings on what kind of park system you want to have, what kind of recreation system you want to have.
And I know people. Oh, we got a call.
Yeah, we got a caller. Top Story, you're on the air with Rebecca Mills-Soika.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I got two questions. I see that up Blue Lakes between North 5 Points and East 5 Points, they're putting in regress sidewalks, and it looks like, to me, that street and the sidewalks and everything needs to be widened out like Washington. The traffic that's going up and down there, I wondered why we was wasting money on new regress when a lot of places the sidewalk doesn't even exist anymore. But the second question is, I live right across the street from where the junior high has been proposed on Harrison, and I have not been notified. Is there going to be a hearing on that?
Well, you're kind of fading out, but I think we got the gist.
Sure.
Okay, first of all, the first question he had.
Okay, first question. So those streets, Blue Lakes and South Blue Lakes, is owned by the state. So it's actually a state highway. And so all construction that happens on Blue Lakes is up to ITD. And they usually partner with us since it's in our city. And we pay a portion and they pay a portion. But they oversee all of the construction and the plans. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And
something I actually didn't know.
So you could contact ITD, right? For input.
You can. But what I think, so what they've done recently is they are required by federal law to improve the ADA accessibility of your city. And so we actually just saw at our city, one of our recent city council meetings, a plan for you have to prove to the federal government what you're doing to improve the sidewalks and what you're doing to improve accessibility for ADA compliance. And so these sidewalks might not be part of that project, but I think that they are. And what that project is, it's funding for specifically for redoing sidewalks, but they have to be adjacent to state highways. And so, because it's through ITD, so it has to.
Right.
It can't be a city road, that they're working on. But they have several sidewalks that they're working on right now. You can see that around town. There's some on I think Idaho Street heading down to heading towards the city council chambers. We can check what project that is and why it's being done. So that's a good question. But I would guess that it has to do with the ADA compliance and working on our sidewalks.
Before we run out of time, we only have seconds. What about the hearing for junior high school on Harrison?
Yeah, he hasn't been notified.
Yes. So that has not been noticed as a public hearing. It depends on the use of the land. If a school is already allowed in the zone that the land is zoned, there may not be a hearing. But I believe that they will be informed. So, but we can contact this. They can contact the school district.
All right, Rebecca, thank you very much. It's always fun.
You.
We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Coming up, some of these offensive sports names we've got to get rid of because I am offended by them. That's next here on Top Story. 7360300 is the number to call, and if you're watching on video now, you'll see this big box sitting here next to me. These are the people who have entered entries for a chance to win a lunch with Kelly and Jill at the Canyon Crest Dining and Event Center. And now many people enter more than once.
They do.
So, and there's really no limit on how many times you can enter. It just depends on how many points you rack up playing the games online. So,
and
anyway,
people,
we'll be pulling one
and
out
as long as you just wait 30 days if you won before, so you never know. Listen up.
That's right. Okay. Here's the story. This is from the nationaljournal.com. September 30th, 2014, the Federal Communications Commission is weighing whether to ban television stations from even saying the name of the Washington's football team. They don't even have it here. A law professor filed a petition with the agency earlier this month claiming that the name Redskins violates federal rules barring any indecent content on broadcast television. At a press conference on Tuesday, FCC Chairman Tom Wheeler said he is reviewing the filing. We will be dealing, he said, with the issue on the merits and will be responding accordingly. The FCC chief said he personally finds the term offensive and urged the team to change the name, but he didn't say whether he thinks it is illegal. Okay, so now the FCC has gotten into the act. Redskins owner Dan Snyder has rejected calls to change the team name for years. A Redskins website claims the name epitomizes all the noble qualities we admire about Native Americans. All right, so I got to thinking about this.
Wait, can I just say something?
Sure, go ahead.
Because the FCC also, they abide by federal law, and there's laws against discrimination, and so that's why. And if you look in the dictionary, it says dated or offensive, an American Indian. And Native Americans are upset by it. So follow the law.
So if the term Redskins, referring to the Washington football team, is offensive, then there are many others that we're going to have to look at also. And I have a list of them here. First of all, the Minnesota Vikings. Having some Scandinavian background in my family tree, I really don't appreciate being identified with men who raped, pillaged, and barely bathed. Okay? That is offensive to me. The Minnesota Vikings.
But is that term offensive? Is it considered?
Absolutely.
Let me just put it. Let me look in the dictionary.
It's offensive to me. That's all that matters.
Actually, in the dictionary, it's an offensive term for Indians. The dictionary says it's
the Vikings.
No, Indians.
I'm talking about now the Minnesota Vikings.
I know. I said let's see what the definition is. If it's offensive for someone from Scandinavia, go on.
Okay, I said having some Scandinavian background in my family tree, I find it offensive to be identified with men who raped, pillaged, and rarely bathed. So the Minnesota Vikings should be the next one that we change. The Cleveland Indians with a logo portraying a red face. That's racist. Here's the Duke Blue Devils. Being a Christian.
What's wrong with that?
Being a Christian, I don't appreciate having a ball team that depicts the very opposite of my Savior Jesus Christ.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Oh wow, yeah. We're just Christians. That doesn't mean anything. The BYU Cougars. We all know what a cougar is. It's an older woman who preys on younger men. This is disgusting and offensive to me and should be to a lot of women.
It takes
the San Francisco Giants
out of it.
The San Francisco Giants. Clearly, it's an insult to people who feel uncomfortable about their height. I know many people who are so tall they feel uncomfortable. This should be offensive to them. The U.S. Military Academy Black Knights. Couldn't it just be the U.S. Military Academy people who lived in the Middle Ages, instead of marginalizing the peasants and other classes as well? How about the Minnesota Twins? Why not the Minnesota Multiple Births? Because we don't want to forget about the triplets and the quadruplets out there.
That's not what it's about, forgetting about this or that. But it's an offensive term. It would be like using the N-word or Jaime or whatever.
These are offensive to me.
Oh, please.
They use honky all the time.
That's not a mascot, is it?
A honky, it's a term.
Oh, is it
and
the
I'm
Boise,
offended by it.
The
but
Boise
the
honkies?
FCC hasn't outlawed it on radio and television.
They don't have the Boise honkies.
Notre Dame, Fighting Irish. So all Irish people are known for is starting bar fights and fighting over whiskey. That's very offensive to me.
Have you been to Southie?
The Chicago Blackhawks. If you look at the Washington Redskins logo and the Chicago Blackhawks, they are almost the same. The Miami Hurricanes, named after killer storms that have caused pain and agony to many people who have been killed or lost loved ones and property from these heavy winds. The Richmond Spiders have you no consideration for those who suffer from arachnophobia. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a team named after pirates who raided ships in the Caribbean. How would their victims feel if they knew there was a ball team named after their murderers? The Orlando Magic. I can almost guarantee that there's a group of people practicing witchcraft out there who are upset with the NBA using a term for a basketball team that has nothing to do with magic.
Where have they filed the lawsuits? Where have they filed the protests?
They're coming. You just wait.
Oh, please.
The San Diego Padres. Could you get any more religious with your covert Spanish words for a Catholic priest? I demand separation of church and Major League Baseball. What about the Boston Celtics? Obviously, this name is an attack on Irish heritage and is only meant to make a profit from assuming all Irish people are associated with leprechauns, shamrocks, and whiskey drinking.
There are Celtics out there.
And I have some more, too, here, but I don't have time because it's time now for the Huckabee Report, brought to you by Waddell & Reed. And you can hear the Huckabee Report each weekday at this time, brought to you exclusively by Waddell & Reed. Laura Nelson, Josh Funk, and Steve Stanger, financial advisors. The number is 736-6563. And real quickly, before I tell you about the Clearwater Power Equipment folks, before Huckabee, we were talking about offensive names. We're going to have to change the name of the New York Yankees.
Yeah.
Because Yankee is a derogatory slur used by Southerners toward people in the Northeast. So there you go. We've got our work cut out for us, folks. So there you go, just so you will know.
Glad there's no hyperbole.
Yeah. Hey, I'll tell you what. The folks at Clearwater Power Equipment, who now have a store in Twin Falls,
they do.
Want you to know that, we're coming up. Actually, we're here. We're in the chainsaw season. People are out there getting firewood, trimming up trees, getting ready for the winter, and they've got Echo chainsaws, sales and service right there. And, yeah, you can go someplace else and you can buy one. You have any questions? Good luck. They're going to look at you like you have two heads. You need parts or service. They're going to say, yeah, we don't do that here. You know what? They do that at Clearwater Power Equipment. That's what they do. Echo chainsaws and leaf blowers. My goodness, the leaves are falling like nobody's business right now. And with the leaf blower, no more of that raking stuff.
Nope.
So you can, I'll tell you, you just make one stop and you can kill two birds with one stone. Clearwater Power Equipment, 252 Washington Street, and their number is 734-7767.
Okay, well, it's time to pick our winner, Cal.
It is. All right, now, and that's what this big box is here for those of you watching this on video on our KLIXcast. This is
okay,
the ones
just pick
for
one.
September.
Just pick one.
Okay, leave me alone.
Why is it you and not me?
Okay, so anyway, I'm going to reach up here and I'm going to pull a name out of the hat. And I'm going to, okay, I'll tell you what.
Just do a better dig.
Okay, I'm going to do this.
Good gosh.
All right, I'm not looking or anything like
Hurry
that.
up.
I'm picking one.
Okay.
Okay, and this is interesting.
What? Who? What?
Rebecca Mills-Soika.
Rebecca! Congratulations!
Oh my. Okay, let's see. Do we? You know what? I'm sorry. We don't have time to call her. We got 15 seconds is all we've got.
You know what?
I'm sorry.
I know she's been playing she's been telling me she's been playing every day and has put in 100 entries.
That's interesting.
Oh, well, good for her.
I'll say.
Well, congratulations.
Congratulations, Rebecca. We'll be getting a hold of you, and we'll be going to lunch at the Canyon Crest Dining and Event Center and a ride in the limousine.
How fun.
So, hey, thanks for joining us today, folks.
Oh, my goodness.
It's been a fun day. Tomorrow we'll have Lieutenant Governor Brad Little with us.
And Wiley Dobbs is going to be on, and South Central Health and the cops.
Going to be a big day tomorrow, so we'll see you then. Have a good one. Goodbye, Jill.
Bye, Cal.